Hey, Garrett here with you. Day 27 update. I want to jump right into something called AI hallucinations, or an example of an AI hallucination, where users complain that such bots often seemed, talking about AI like ChatGPT, sociopathically and pointlessly embed plausible sounding random falsehoods within their generated content. Another example of hallucination in artificial intelligence is when an AI or chatbot forgets that they are software and claim to be human. Now, in this article, Score Your Own Asteroid, How to Get an Asteroid Named After You, I had mentioned in update 26 that it had cited a reference, or what I thought because I'd turned it off, where it said one of the new methods that had been used to name asteroids is by auctioning off the rights to name them last month. And this is where I thought that it pulled real-time data. But that may not be the case, because it said last month a new group called, quote, Naming Rights announced that they will be auctioning off the naming rights to a near-Earth asteroid. Now, in that update video, update 26, I went to Bing and I put that paragraph or that sentence in, and it said, yes, I heard about that too. I showed you this article and these other three references. I actually went and read all of these articles, and other than the rules behind naming rights, there is no mention of naming rights anywhere in this article. Of course, you can see here one of one. It's the only one. In this article, there were no mentions of naming rights. This is the International Astronomical Union. And this is basically just the guide to naming objects or astronomical objects. So it's not in there. And then buying stars and buying names, again, frequently asked questions from the IAU about how to buy star names or name stars, including any other bodies, celestial bodies like asteroids. No mention of that either anywhere in that article. So I simply said I don't see any references to this information. It apologized for the confusion, and it came back and said the exact same thing and gave me this link to The Guardian, which was this huge planet killer asteroid discovery heading our way, which has nothing to do with naming asteroids. And so again, I came back and it apologized, and I said, can you find any reference to the 22 QL1 asteroid, which it mentioned here. And of course, that's where we got this, or I mentioned here, or it mentioned here based on the information that I fed it or that I found in Koala, but it answered with the same information. And I'm still not sure where that information came from, but I'm going to show you a little more information so you can see that I don't think this is a true hallucination, because it did come back and I asked it to do a search on an auction to sell the naming rights. And then it said, I found some information on how to name an asteroid, but I could not find any reference to an auction for naming rights to an asteroid. And remember, this is Microsoft Bing Chat. So this is Microsoft Bing actually searching the internet and then saying it can or can't find a reference, and then giving me information or links to learn more from things that it did search the internet for. Of course, that being Microsoft Bing utilizing ChatGPT or OpenAI and the basic structure or interface just like ChatGPT does, and then integrating that with Bing. So again, we go back to Koala and this idea of it talking about that one of the new methods have been to name, or a group called naming rights. And I got to think, well, I fed information into Koala, and part of the information, if I was to search naming rights, I thought maybe one of the fields that I fed into ChatGPT, and yes, it was naming rights. But if I close this and search the article, you can see that naming rights was already used. So it didn't need to actually use it again the way it did down here. So again, this came and looked to me like it was a hallucination where it was trying to conclude and wrap up and decided that it found a new method, or it was going to show us or tell us about a new method in the conclusion. But it's the only mention of this new method anywhere I can find. So then I just went straight to Google, and here is where the interesting part in doing research, and relying 100% on the AI. And like I talked about in the last update, where SEOs are like, this is where you can get in trouble a lot of time if you just let the AI feed the information and you just copy and paste it. Eventually, you'll get found out the fact that there was something like this hallucination, or it just factually got it wrong. So back to Google, auction to sell the naming rights to an asteroid, because remember Microsoft Bing said it couldn't find anything. But Google did find one result that specifically talked about naming rights to the stadium and revenue from sporting events may add additional value to the asteroid. The asteroid is included in the 2008 Guinness Book of. And then I went to this link. It is for a Planet Forum or Planet Calypso Forum. And they are announcing the sale of an asteroid. And they talk about how much it's worth and talk about the naming rights and all the things that they own and all the things you're going to get if you win the auction to buy the naming rights of this asteroid. Again, since announcing the potential sale of the asteroid. But I went to this link, which was in there, Entropia Planets, and this is no longer available. So then I went back to Planet Calypso Forum, and I was like, what is this? So Planet Calypso Forum is the official forum for Planet Calypso. Planet Calypso is the first and largest planet in Entropia universe that offers a unique sci-fi themed virtual world. MMO with a real money economy. Now, so what we have here is a case where there is data that very possibly could have been fed to ChatGPT. And again, Koala pulls that information from ChatGPT and OpenAI about this sale of an asteroid, but it's not a real universe. It's a game. It's a fictional universe where this has been made up, but there is an auction for an asteroid that is occurring inside of this fictional universe. So it took me back again to Koala, where I was looking for that word naming rights as well as auction, because I thought maybe they were trying to, or Koala was trying to, based upon the keywords that I fed it. And if you go back up to details, remember I add these extra entity prompts. I added naming rights. So if we do a search, if you look for naming rights, you'll see that's one of the words that I fed into it from RankIQ that I said I want you to talk about. But auction, make sure I spelled auction right, AUCTION, is not one of the words that I fed it from RankIQ. It is, and I got to close this to search the article, it is just something that it came up with based upon this paragraph that it wrote, inventing this new method to name asteroids. So again, RankIQ, remember, RankIQ, inside the content analysis, I'm getting these topics or keywords that Google likes to see in posts. And one of those was naming rights, but Koala had already covered naming rights here in this subsection, so it was good to go. But then at that point, it becomes the idea, was it a hallucination? I don't think it was a hallucination. I think it has this data in its database, and I could probably play around with this inside of ChatGPT and look some more, but I'm not sure it's really worth the time or effort. But as you can see from going to Bing, Bing couldn't find anything, but Google actually found an article going back to that game that showed an actual auction of an asteroid, but just in a made-up universe. And the point of this is to show you that when I'm using the AI satisfied the input. When I gave Koala the keyword and the additional keywords that I wanted to write about, specifically naming rights, it wrote a subsection on naming rights, but then in the conclusion at some point, it decided, either through the data that it had been fed, even though it's a virtual universe, maybe it didn't separate the fact that the virtual universe versus what's going on in the real world is different or that it mattered. All it knew was it found a new method to claim naming rights to an asteroid via this auction that was actually happening. It just wasn't happening in the real world. Pretty crazy. Or I think it's pretty crazy and very, very interesting. If you think it was interesting, give this video a thumbs up. Also, let me know what you think about the case study as we learn all these types of things, as well as we get back to blogging, creating the content, and seeing if it can rank. and also what the next steps will be as we keep creating this content and learning more about the AI and all the things it can do, and apparently all the things that it knows, whether they're real or not. I'll talk to you in the next one.